Welcome, deep divers. You know, sometimes you see a game and it just screams experience right from the first glance. Today, we're plunging headfirst into the Ascent. It's a highly praised cyberpunk action RPG. We've dug through a bunch of reviews, pulled out the key insights, and basically our mission for you is to figure out what makes this gritty neon world tick. And more importantly, figure out if it's somewhere you'll actually want, get lost in.
Exactly. We're aiming to go a bit deeper than just the surface level here. We'll break down its pretty unique blend of fast-paced action, that really stunning atmosphere it has, and kind of pinpoint where it truly shines. The idea is you walk away not just knowing what the Ascent is, but getting the feel of it, and whether its whole vision of this corporate-run future clicks with you.
Okay, so let's get into that feel. What's it actually like stepping into this chaotic future? At its heart, people describe the Ascent as a top-down action RPG twin-stick shooter, which, if you're not familiar, basically means you move with one stick, aim with the other. Makes for really fluid, fast combat. And you're dropped into this incredibly dense, futuristic world. You play an indentured worker, basically owned by a giant corporation that runs everything. And you're just trying to survive after that corporation suddenly collapses.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, I think, is how it mixes that super quick twin-stick shooting with some genuinely deep RPG mechanics. It's not just like hold down the trigger constantly. You're actually using cover, thinking about elevation to get an advantage, applying different skills tactically. Plus, your character grows a lot. There's extensive progression, leveling up abilities, unlocking skills, constantly tweaking your gear, and you get really deep customization through augmentations, those are like cybernetic body parts, and cyberware, which are kind of digital implants changing your abilities. Plus, robust weapon upgrades, too. It gives you this real sense of building your own desperate survivor from the ground up.
Wow, okay. So there's real substance to building your character, it sounds like. Not just pure action. But often, with Cyberpunk, it's the world itself, right? That's what pulls you in. And what really seems to bring this chaotic world to life are the visuals. The sources we looked at just rave about them. They talk about stunning visuals, immersive cyberpunk aesthetics, the rich detail packed into these dense environments. Neon reflecting on wet streets, crowded areas, this huge sense of verticality. It feels immense. It's clearly designed to just immerse you completely, and that's backed up by a soundtrack people really like and some deep world building that fleshes out this, dying corporate world.
It is pretty remarkable how much atmosphere they've managed to pack in there.
Yeah. But here's something interesting, where the game kind of shows its unique side. While you can play the Ascent totally solo, the consensus seems to be it shines brightest in co-op. Reviews often call it fun and chaotic with friends, but they do note a solo play may feel grindy. And that highlights this interesting tension, doesn't it? A game about surviving alone after society collapses, but its best mode, its most engaging way to play, involves teamwork. It almost makes you ask if being a lone wolf is even realistic in that future, or if connection is actually how you overcome the brutality.
That's a really interesting point. So the social aspect is key.
It seems so. And the good news is those technical problems co-op had at launch. Apparently, they've been mostly fixed with patches.
Okay, so knowing all that, this deep, visually incredible co-op leaning experience, who is the Ascent really for? Who should be diving in? Well, if you're someone captivated by cyberpunk settings generally, you enjoy those gritty sci-fi stories. Or maybe you just love that mix of fast twin-stick shooting with deeper RPG progression, kind of like Diablo, or maybe Ruiner.
Right, those sorts of games.
Yeah. Then this one is almost certainly calling your name. It's right up that alley.
Okay, makes sense. But you mentioned expectations earlier.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's crucial here, because while it's great for a lot of players, the Ascent isn't going to be for everyone. Some of the feedback definitely points to a UI, a user interface that can feel confusing or clunky, and maybe some quest design that's a bit frustrating at times. Plus, people mention occasional difficulty spikes that can really test your patience. So if you're the kind of player who gets easily annoyed by complex menus, or you really prefer seeing your character from over the shoulder instead of top down, or maybe you just generally don't like dark, mature themes, well, you might want to think carefully before jumping in.
That's a fair point about the rough edges. A clunky UI, yeah, that can definitely pull you out of the immersion, especially in a game trying to be this atmospheric. How bad is it, based on what you saw? Is it like a deal breaker or something you just get used to?
The sense I got is it's more of a learning curve, something you adapt to, rather than a constant major frustration. But it's definitely something to be aware of going in. It probably won't stop you enjoying the core game, but, give it a moment to click. Ultimately, though, despite maybe those minor issues, What this really means for you, the listener, is that the Ascent offers a really visually striking, action-packed experience. And it's pretty affordable, which is a big plus, especially if you have Xbox Game Pass, where it's pretty much called a no-brainer pickup because of the value.
Oh, okay. Game Pass makes it easy then.
Exactly. But even if you don't have Game Pass, it's generally considered worth picking up on sale or with friends.
Right, so summing it up then, the Ascent gives you this visually stunning, action-heavy cyberpunk world. It's got deep RPG stuff going on, and it really hits its stride, comes alive when you're tackling that chaos with friends.
Absolutely. And, thinking about it, that leaves us with a kind of profound question, doesn't it? In a future where these all-powerful corporations just crumble, leaving total chaos behind,
Yeah.
how much power, how much agency does one person really have to rebuild things, or even just to survive? It's a question that kind of echoes through the game's world, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe through our own thoughts about power, collapse, and survival. Definitely something to chew on as you dive into your own digital dystopia.